Hi guys, the Chef Zak here again. We've got some fun treats for you today. Now, it's springtime, and with springtime comes flowers. So our first treat, we are going to celebrate flowers with a vegetable bouquet. So I'm going to get started here. We're going to use cauliflower, cherry tomatoes, and bell peppers for our vegetable bouquet. So I'm going to start with our cauliflower flowers. Now I've got some bunches here that are already kind of small, but I want to make sure that they look like flowers, so I'm going to dump this out here and start building. And for our flower stems, I'm going to use some toothpicks. And I think I'm going to do maybe 10, maybe a little bit more. I got 4 here. These are 5. Another one. Let's get a big one on there so we can get a nice crunchy piece. There's our big flower. How many is that? That is 7 cauliflowers. Now, cauliflower is one of my favorite vegetables. It looks like broccoli, but it's not. And I don't know. You can do a lot of stuff with broccoli. You can cook it any way you want. You can turn it into rice if you want. You can turn it into something like mashed potatoes even. You just smush it up with some butter and some milk. And you've got a healthier version of mashed potatoes. But that's beside the point. We're making flowers with this cauliflower. And I think that's a sizable and acceptable amount of cauliflowers. So I'm going to get the rest of this extra stuff, dump her in here, and we're just going to leave those on the cutting board until we're ready to start building our final treat. Our next flowers are going to be tomato flowers out of these teeny little cherry tomatoes. And I'm going to use a tiny knife for this because they're pretty tiny, and I want to do some kind of pretty cuts. Now you don't have to do this. I would recommend not doing this at home because what you can do, and what I'm going to do, is just pop a couple whole tomatoes on here as well for some nice little bulby looking flowers. But for some of these tomatoes, I'm going to try to make them kind of pretty. So I've got my tiny knife here, and I'm just going to really quick cut a zigzag shape all around the side of this tomato. And you'll see when I'm done that we've got something that looks like a tulip flower. Now, again, I'm using a very sharp knife. I don't think that any of you kiddos should be doing this kind of work, but I thought it would be cool to show you what you can do to make food pretty. Now, here is our little tomato tulip, cherry tomato tulip. And I'm going to just carefully press the stem in there, and we've got a nice flower. I'm going to take the other half of that same tomato and stick a toothpick on there, and we've got 2 tulips out of 1 cherry. Now I'm going to put another just whole tomato on here. I've got 2 halves of the tomato. I just cut this one in half. Nothing pretty going on, but I'm going to put that on there. Now I'm going to do maybe another 4 of these, and we'll move on to our last flower. And we'll be on our way. You know what? I'm going to make another pretty one really quick. Super speed. Now you see I'm just kind of walking across the tomato with my knife here. Almost to the end. This one's not so pretty, but that's alright. We're going to eat it. And boop. One more. This one looks like a balloon. And there we have got our little group of cherry flowers. Our last flowers are going to be made of this yellow bell pepper, and I'm just going to cut some fun shapes into it. But first I've got to get a piece to work with, so I'm going to cut the top off. And then I'm going to cut a square out. And then I'm going to clean this little square up just a little bit. This is called pith. This white part that you see inside of pepper sometimes, you can eat it, but it's not very tasty. I'm sure it's got some vitamins and minerals. It's good for you, I'm sure. But I don't like to use it when I don't have to. So I've got my little piece of paper here, my little pepper paper, and I'm going to draw some little flowers with my knife. Got this little circle flower. We've got this kind of square, big O flower. We'll make another tulip shape, even. With this piece here, I'm just going to make some little zigzags on top. I'm going to get that one so I have a little bit. We'll make a big triangle flower, a little something flower, and then finally I'm going to make an actual flower looking flower, I think. When you think maybe a SpongeBob flower. Do you guys watch SpongeBob? I don't know. I don't even know anything about anything. Almost got this one. This might have been a bit of a stretch, a bit of a hope maybe, to get a nice pretty shape. Oh, look at that. I'm actually making a flower. That's kind of cool. Now when you're doing this tree at home, it'll be fun to make shapes and all that kind of stuff, but you can just kind of make some chunks like this, maybe some strips like that. And now we're ready to put together our pepper flowers. We've got our little bloop. Gonna make our tulip, make it look like a tulip. Little yellow tulip. This guy going. Circle flower, stick flower, big stick flower, square, more stems. Okay. Now kids, we are ready to make our bouquet. And for any bouquet, you need a vase, right? So I'm going to take our flowers here and I'm going to start arranging them, because I have just turned into a florist. That's somebody that works with flowers. Get them all. Oh no! Not a very good florist, apparently. Now hopefully, we've made enough of these veggie flowers that they'll kind of bunch up and stick out of here like any well-respecting real bouquet would. And it's actually turning into something. Look at this one, kids. We actually are getting something that looks like a vase of flowers that you might see on your mantelpiece or your kitchen table. Full of spring flowers, the bounty of spring. Now, this is a lot of veggies, isn't it? A lot of flowers. A lot of cauliflowers. And what do you know? Look at that. Look at that bouquet. I'm going to try it. I am going to eat it. But we're going to leave it here for a while and come back to it later. Here's a piece of cauliflower. Raw cauliflower tastes a little bit like cabbage. Very good. Okay, well, not there. We're going to get on to our second treat here, which is going to be a dipping sauce for our bouquet that we have here. Our beautiful flower bouquet, vegetable flowers. Tzatziki sauce. Tzatziki sauce is made of yogurt and cucumbers and lemon and one of my favorite herbs of all time, dill. It's a little, I'd say tzatziki is a little bit like ranch if you've ever had ranch, but not really. It tastes lighter than ranch, and I like it better. I definitely like it better than ranch sauce. So, I'm going to get our pepper out of the way, open up our blender here, and get to building. So I've got a cucumber here, I'm going to use a slightly larger knife for this because it's not very small, this cucumber. And I'm just going to cut some small pieces out of it, some slices. Now it's not going to matter really how big they are or what they look like because we're going to put them in a blender. And we're going to blend all of this stuff together. So I've got this much in the blender. Dill comes on stems, so I'm going to take a couple of those stems and I'm just going to run my fingers down them and kind of peel this frilly stuff off. This is the dill herb. And I'm going to say that this is probably, pardon my incorrect English, probably enough right there. When I take my scrap and discard it, I'm going to take my extra dill here and return it to my glass and get that in the refrigerator because dill likes to be cold. So, I'm going to take my dill, put it in the blender. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this lemon open. Wow. Maybe. And I'm going to look for any seeds that I can see and I'm going to pick them out because I'm going to squeeze this lemon over top of this blender here. This is a strainer or a sieve that I'm going to use instead of picking because it will just catch any seeds. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to wash my hand that's now covered in lemon juice and we're not going to need this knife anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that too. We're not going to need it for this treat at least. Okay, so in our blender now we have cucumbers, dill, and lemon juice. And I'm going to do my own little twist on this tzatziki and I'm going to put red beets in it and I hope that it will turn it pink. Because I think pink is a kind of springy color, and it's just cool, and beets are really good and good for you as well. So, Here I have some sliced beets that I am just going to drop in here as well. Here we go. And so the rest of this sauce is going to be yogurt, but I think I'm not going to put that in there quite yet. And we're just going to mix that together at the end. So, I'm going to start blending away here. Let's see what happens. Not much at first. Oh, there we go. Check that out. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to taste this, but I have remembered that I didn't put any salt or pepper in it yet, so it won't taste. That was very good. Very acidic, very sour from the lemon, but fresh because of the cucumber, and that dill definitely packs a little bit of a punch, but I'm going to get some more in there because I like dill and I want more. So, out of the fridge and into the blender, straight into the blender, because I'm a cook and I can do that. Alright, and salt. We need salt. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, and salt is a piece of cooking, a piece of everybody's cooking for the most part. It makes things taste better. It makes you taste more of whatever it is that you're cooking, but you can't use too much because it's not great for you in big quantities. You can't have a lot of salt, or it's not good for you. But you do need some. You have to keep a balance. And you will learn about that. You will learn about that in school, I'm sure. Here we go. And I'm sure that is going to taste pretty good. So, I'm not going to, well, I'm going to taste it again. Much better. I'm going to get a mixing bowl. And into that mixing bowl, I am going to put our half-finished beet tzatziki sauce. And I am going to wash this spatula that I put in my mouth before we continue to mix with it. So, I'm going to scrape, 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 scrape. Oh, I forgot to talk about the beet. You definitely can taste the beet. You can taste the pink. Taste the pink color in this sauce for sure. I'm gonna get rid of this blender for a moment. Return to our yogurt. Move our little film, and I'm just gonna plop our container of yogurt in here. And we will get to mixing, and you will see what beet tzatziki sauce looks like at the end of the day. Oh no, my hair is in my face. We're mixing, 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 mixing. Now be careful when you're mixing stuff, especially when you have something very liquidy and something pretty solid. Because when you start to mix that, the very liquidy stuff is going to splash all over. So you have to be sure to be careful with the speed of your mixing. Now, I'm not sure, but it might look like this isn't pink. But I assure you, it is definitely pink. It's maybe a little bit light, but the light in my kitchen is not helping me out very much. But please believe me that it's pink and it tastes very good, as we're about to see. Right on. That's your sauce. That's your sauce. Alrighty, kids. we have now made a vegetable bouquet and beet tzatziki sauce. And they will be a perfect combination. Let me show you. I'm going to take a whole handful of these and just stir them around in there and start eating them. Well, maybe not a whole handful, maybe a couple at a time. Tomato and cauliflower into the sauce. Mmm. 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 Now that is the taste. Now, if that's not the taste of spring, I don't know what is. This is very good. It makes me want to go outside. Okay, we're going to start moving on to our next treat here. And it's a little bit of a dessert treat for a nice little vegetable appetizer that we had here. So I'm just going to clear my station very quickly and we will be on to that. For our last treat today, we're going to make a grapefruit slushie. And for that, I'm going to use a grapefruit, just a little bit of sugar, and some ice. The first thing I'm going to do, I think, is cut this in half. Because later on, we're going to do something neat with half of this grapefruit peel. So, look at that beautiful ruby red grapefruit. So I'm going to clean out this half of a grapefruit here just with my fingers. And I think we're going to make a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. And it'll give us a chance to look for some seeds that we don't want to get into our slushie. You want to make sure your hands are clean for this because you're really going to get in there. Now you want to get all the skin of the segments. You know how oranges have segments and all that, and they have skin on them. Well, that's what this is, and I'm gonna get that in there too because that is good for you. That's got fiber in it, and now that we're blending it, it's gonna be like it's not even there. So I'm gonna do this one too. I see two big seeds that I'm just gonna pop out. And I'm gonna squeeze all this into here. Almost got it. Almost all of that fruit. And now my hand is still dirty, so I'm just gonna pick through here and see if I can see any seeds that we missed. Yes, here's one. Here's another. So we've gotten them clear. I'm going to wash my hands and we'll get on our way here. Okay. So I've got my grapefruit smush. I've got my blender and I'm just going to get all that juice in there, all that pith, all that fruit. Get that onto the blender here. And I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of sugar into this because grapefruit is pretty tart, which another word for sour. I would call the grapefruit tart in flavor. And any good slushie is made mostly of ice, hence the slush. So I've got my bowl of ice here, and I'm going to start. I don't know if I'm going to need all this ice. I probably will. I'm going to use just a few pieces first to get started and see what we're working with. Now, be warned, this will be loud. Anytime you blend ice, it's always loud. So, here we go. Now, it looks to be going well, so I'm going to stop the blender before I add any more ice. We're going to use all of it. I think we need it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, folks. Ooh. Popped in my face. Smells like grapefruits, and I'm sure it will taste like one as well. Now, I talked about our grapefruit peels a lot at the beginning, and now you are going to see why I was so excited. Because all that work you put into scraping out these grapefruit shells give you a nice cup to eat / drink this delicious grapefruit smoothie / slushie. I think it's going to be more of a spoon food for myself, but if you're standing over a sink or something, wow, that is really, really good. Very good. Okay, kiddos. Brain freeze! Okay. Well, that was fun. Thanks again, Mr. Robbie, for having me on your show today. I hope I'll be able to see you kids again sometime soon. I know today was a video, and I really like to be there in person. So, anyway, I'm Chef Zak. Have a great rest of your day.